This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. That must have been Angie. No? Okay. Stress is unavoidable in our lives, and we're all stressed. Three things that are likely to happen when we are stressed. One is we would lose sleep. Another is our healthy eating falls by the wayside. And then three, we skip exercising. So when these three basics of self-care are eliminated from our lives, it makes it even harder to cope with daily pressures, creating an endless loop of more stress. But today, Rebecca Cristol, a professional certified life and business coach, she's going to teach us techniques to break out of the stress loop and feel more in control. For over 13 years, she has helped her clients overcome stress, including working with employees at Canning and Davenport and Company. Rebecca is passionate about guiding people to make self-care a priority so that they can thrive at work, love their life. Get ready to change your perspective on managing your stress. Please help me welcome Rebecca.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. How many of you can relate to, once you get stressed, you're eating, sleeping, and all your ways of coping just go out the window, right? Can you relate? Yeah. So today we're going to look at the impact of stress on our physiology and our relationships and our productivity. We're going to look at some really simple self-care practices, and then you'll choose one or two of those to add to your daily routine. And last, because it's really hard to adopt a new habit, I'm going to share a few techniques with you to make it easy to integrate into your day. And some of the things I've chosen take as little as 10 seconds to a minute, and we all know that you have a minute in your day to just stop and reset. So first, if you can go to the next slide, Raymond, I would like to know what is the highest level of stress that you've experienced in the past 6 months. Obviously, we've been in a pandemic and we all have had extra stressors in our lives. So if you can just put in the chat box, a 1 would be like the lowest level of stress and 5 is the highest. So what level of stress have you experienced in the past 6 months? Just go ahead and put that in. A 4, okay, another 4. Yeah, so a 3. Great. Well, thank you. So, and a 4, right. So those are getting near 5. So we know that, most of us do experience a high level of stress in our lives. Let's go to the next slide. And I just wanted to talk about what is acute stress. It's actually a survival mechanism. When our brain senses a threat, there's an instantaneous and complex series of signals that result in the release of adrenaline. You know what that feels like? It's like a burst of energy. Our hearts pound, our breathing becomes quicker and more shallow, our muscles tense up, and it's our body's natural response to danger. And it's also known as, I'm sure you've heard, the fight or flight. So it's the response that saved our ancestors from being eaten by a lion. And acute stress is temporary. It's just, a spike and then it goes away. Next slide, please. The problem is that our body can be triggered with that same adrenaline release in reaction to a pile of papers, to an overflowing inbox of emails, approaching deadlines, the worries of living in a pandemic. And when we are constantly in that fight or flight mode, that becomes chronic stress. And chronic stress is exhausting because our body is continuously pumping that adrenaline through us. And it makes it hard to calm down and think about a problem we're facing or just be calm in general. And just so you know, our body only has one stress reaction. So it's helpful when we're in danger, but it's not so great when it's just a constant everyday experience. Next slide, please. So what happens when we don't deal with our stress is that it can result in poor health. There are actually so many health problems that stress causes. I was unable to list them all here, so these are just the highlights. High blood pressure, clogged arteries, anxiety, depression, addiction, obesity, and insomnia. So when we have adrenaline going through our bodies, it actually increases our appetite. So it also impacts our sleep and our desire to exercise. When you're all ramped up and have all that adrenaline rushing through you, it can make it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep. Maybe your body's like, let's wake up and think about that problem we're facing. And also when your heart's been pounding all day, who wants to exercise? Next slide, please. Chronic stress also leads to lower productivity. It's kind of like having 40 apps open on our phone, and you know how our phones are less effective when we have all those apps open. And if you can just think of your mental battery as like your cell phone battery, it just it becomes less effective when we have that stress. We might make mistakes because we're moving too quickly, and our energy drains faster. Next slide. It also negatively impacts our relationships because we might be less patient, we might not be as thoughtful with our words. We all know that feeling of being annoyed with someone when you're having a tough day, and it really has nothing to do with them and everything to do with what we're experiencing. Next slide. So just think about reducing your stress is like having a full mental battery. So it's like closing those 40 apps on your phone to begin to function with that full mental battery. It will improve our physical health, our mental health, our productivity, and our relationships. Next slide. So today we're going to talk about 3 approaches to cope with your stress. One is to adjust your mindset. The other is incorporating new behaviors. And the third might be surprising, but it's to get more sleep. If you do all 3, that gives you the best chance of managing your stress. The cool thing is, you know, we have control over our mindset and our behaviors. So even if you don't have control over the events in your life that are causing your stress, you do have some control over how to address it. So I like to remember that what are the things that you have control over? And as I said, I know you're very busy, so adding one more thing to your day, I don't want it to be overwhelming. So I have chosen things that are very short, between 10 to 15 seconds up to 10 minutes. And hopefully, if you do that a few times, you'll also begin to feel that you really want to do that because it makes your day so much better. So if you can grab that Google form and have it up, or if you even want to have that up and jot things down. Next slide, please. We're just going to look at the list of techniques, and what I'd like you to do is, while I talk about them, just put a check mark next to the ones that are of interest to you or that appeal to you. And when I'm done, you'll be choosing 2 of them. So if there's one that you think like, yeah, that's one I really want to incorporate into your life, then you can put a star next to it. But just don't worry about it right now, just the ones that appeal to you. Okay, next slide, please. So the first thing we're going to talk about is actually changing your mindset about stress. Next slide. So in an 8-year Harvard study of 30,000 adults in the United States, those who had experienced a lot of stress in the previous year had a 43% increased risk of dying. That is a significant amount, especially when we see that most of us experience some level of stress over the past year. That's the bad news. Next slide. So, but the good news is that was only for people who believed that stress was harmful to your health. Next slide. So the group that believed that stress was bad for them had that 43% increased risk of dying. That's that rectangle on the left. But the group that believed that stress was actually good for them had no change in their death rate. So we definitely want to be in that group in that yellow rectangle. Next, please. So how do you change your stress and your mindset? The first thing is to just accept that you are stressed and know that it's your body's natural way of responding to something that's going on in your life. And you'll notice that even by saying to yourself, you know, I'm stressed about this, your body will calm down a little bit. Other things you can tell yourself is, you know, I'm stressed because I really care about this meeting with my boss, and I want to present in my best manner and, you know, in the best way possible. Some of that stress is just helping me prepare. So that is just actually the most simple way to deal with stress. And does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. All right. Next slide, please. So the next thing we're going to look at are new habits that you can incorporate into your day. And again, just put a check mark next to any that appeal to you. Next slide, please. So this is one of my favorite techniques. It's called 4-7-8 breathing. It was developed by Dr. Andrew Weil. Some of you may be familiar with him. And this is a breathing technique that I teach to all my clients. It takes about 1 minute and you can fit it anywhere in your day. What you do is breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and breathe out for 8. And the whole time you have your tongue on the roof of your mouth. So that's like a yogic thing to do. So I thought we would just do this breathing, because then guess what? You'll just check the box on having done one thing today to calm yourself down. So if you want to close your eyes and put that tongue on the roof of your mouth, and I'll just say, anyone who has health issues or you don't want to hold your breath as long as I'm counting, just do what is most comfortable to you. All right, well, here we go. In through your nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How did that feel? Thumbs up? Good, yeah. So I love that this just is so quick. I can feel an immediate calming down of everything when I do this. You can use this if you're having a hard time falling asleep, if you have insomnia, if you have something coming up and you just find that you're really nervous. And Dr. Weil suggests that after you do it for about 6 weeks, it has additional benefits to your body. And also your body will just learn to respond like, oh, now we're doing that breathing, and it just will calm down. Anytime you exhale for longer than you inhale, it will slow your heart rate down. So that's just another thing to know. Okay, next slide, please. All right, taking a walk, even 2 minutes is great. You know, in our pandemic life, we're on Zoom, we're at our desk. A lot of us are not even walking to our car for a commute in the morning. We're not going to other people's offices to ask a question. So, or we might be running less errands. We're just moving less in general, although hopefully that is changing soon. And Beth, I know you're running around all the time. So just taking a walk for 2 minutes in the day will get your blood flowing. And if you can go outside, that's even better. Nature is known to reduce stress. So if you do go outside, don't take your phone with you and look at it the whole time. Just leave it on your desk and just go outside and look at the clouds or whatever is around you. Also, our brains really love very specific instructions. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to walk sometime today, it's likely to not happen. But if you can say, I'm going to walk right after I have my mid-morning coffee for 2 minutes, up the block and back, then you don't have any decisions to make. You just know exactly what you're going to do. Our brains really like to save energy. So anytime you can pre-decide and have a plan will help you. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, resting your eyes. We're all on our computers way too much, and that is hard on our eyes. So even just looking away from your screen for the count of 15 or closing your eyes for the same amount of time will just give your eyes a quick rest. And again, how do you remember to do that? I just think when I close a document, I'm going to close my eyes. So that's one easy way to remember it. Next. This may be surprising, but one of the most effective things you can do to reduce your stress is single tasking. And it's really hard to get the hang of it because we're so used to juggling a bunch of things at the same time. But it's actually an illusion. Our brains, in fact, can only do one thing at a time. And if we have time later, I have a really fun exercise that we can do together to show you how this works. So what does single tasking look like? That means you're just going to focus on one task at a time, just responding to your emails, for the morning, and then keeping a list of the things that you need to do later, and then focusing on one of those at a time. You will be amazed at how much more mental battery power you have if you do this. And how do you remember to single task? You can put a Post-it note on your computer. You can send yourself a reminder, or you can make a plan with a coworker that you're going to try to single task and then share with each other how it went for the day. All right, next slide, please. And my number one tip for reducing your stress is meditating. And we all know that exercising is the best thing for our heart and our muscles, but did you know that meditating is actually the best way to take care of your mind? Meditation gives your brain a buffer between your emotions and your reactions. It just gives you that extra space to deal with the stress that you encounter. And does anyone here meditate? Just raise your hand. Okay, awesome. Mahogany meditates. So if you're thinking like, sitting still for 10 minutes is not really for me, I totally get it. And I used to feel the same way. But there are lots of meditation apps and even just mindfulness. So something that's guiding you to being calm for 10 minutes does the same thing. So that's a great way to get started. They're like, 30-day meditation challenges. I think on Calm, the Calm app has that. And to be more specific about that practice, you might say, after I take my morning shower and I'm in my bathrobe, I'm just going to sit on my yoga mat in my bedroom and turn on Headspace for 10 minutes. So again, just those really specific instructions for our brain. All right, next, please. So now we're going to talk about sleep. So if you can just let me know in the chat box, do you regularly get 7 or more hours of sleep each night? And, just on average. Just a yes or a no. No. Nope, never. Okay. Yeah, and it really is not the greatest feeling to get a lot of sleep. Beth is laughing. Yeah, it's but it's not funny, is it? It's such a frustration. No. Yeah, so getting more sleep is actually one of the first things that I address with my clients, even though none of them come to see me because they want to get more sleep. They come to see me because they're overwhelmed or they want to shift something in their lives. But making a change in your life takes energy and willpower, and getting more sleep gives you both. Next slide, please. So let's look at some ways to get more sleep. And again, just, check these if they appeal to you as one of your habits that you want to choose later. Next slide. So this is the most super obvious way to get more sleep, is to go to bed earlier, but it's really hard to do. I suggest that you set 2 alarms as a reminder. Write a kind message to yourself in that phone alarm and tell your family. So I suggest 2 alarms because often we just might ignore that first one and be like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go to bed soon. A kind message will help you pay attention to that alarm. Like, you have a big presentation tomorrow, so make sure you go to bed early, or you'll feel so much better, or your bed is waiting, whatever you will help you get motivated to go to sleep. And then often, your family might just get you sidetracked with questions or texting you, even if, they're not there in your home with you. So just letting your family know, hey, I'm going to really start going to bed at 10 now. So just so you know to expect that. Okay, next slide. Getting off your phone is a really great way to help fall asleep. That blue light on your phone keeps us awake. You can set a reminder 30 minutes before bedtime to get off of your phone. There's also, you probably know, in settings, you can go to night shift, and that can shift that blue light on your phone to orange, and that will not emit that light that keeps us awake. There's also something called the Freedom app, and you can put that on any device, and it will block you from specific sites whenever you want to set it. So if you're like, I'm not going on Facebook after 7 p.m., you can just set the Freedom app, and it will, if you try to go to Facebook, it'll just give you this lovely message. You're free to go do something else that makes you happy. Okay, next, please. You can make your bedroom like a cave. Make it cold and dark and quiet. So we sleep better when we lower our core body temperature, so turn down the heat. Light will keep us awake, so you can have an eye mask or turn off that any ambient light or remove any blinking lights in your room. And in terms of keeping it quiet, you can wear earplugs or play white noise to keep your room peaceful. Next, please. Alcohol-free evenings. Alcohol actually deprives us of our deepest sleep. Initially, it relaxes us, but it actually prevents us from going into that REM sleep. So whereas we might think it helps us calm down, in the end, it actually deprives us of our best sleep of the evening. Next slide. Okay, this is kind of an odd one, but if you expose your eyes to sunlight within 1 hour of waking, it actually resets your circadian rhythm and makes it easier to fall asleep at night. And to make a specific plan for that, you might say, after I finish my breakfast, I'm going to drink my coffee on my back porch for 5 minutes and soak in the sun. You don't have to look at the sky, but you just have to expose your eyes to sunlight. I thought that was really a cool thing to know. Next is to put your phone to bed. So, and in fact, Ariana Huffington, I'm not sure if you've seen, she actually made a little phone bed charger. You put your phone in and pull the covers up and say goodnight to it. But if you can charge your phone away from your bed, that will remove the temptation of, if you wake up in the middle of the night checking what time it is, and then you see some notification, and that kicks your brain and curiosity into action, and then it's even harder to fall asleep. So if you are someone who is tempted to look at your phone, do yourself a favor and just charge it across the room. Okay, next slide, please. So I wanted to share with you a story about a client who did make some changes in her life. I call it new chapter because she was a writer. And she came to me because she wanted to write a novel and lose weight. She had a very stressful job and a teenager at home, and she just was trying different things and was unable to make any progress. So together, we also came up with a bunch of strategies to get her to the gym or to get writing, but just nothing was working until one day we discovered the one habit that was blocking her progress and impacting almost every aspect of her life. It took a while to discover because she didn't really think about this habit, but when she got back from a long day at work, she would always have a glass of wine to de-stress, and it made making dinner more fun. This glass of wine turned into 2 or 3 glasses. She was not an alcoholic, but what that wine did was her inhibitions were down, so she didn't regulate her food intake as much as she wanted at dinner. And then she was so relaxed in the evenings that she just really wasn't able to do anything. And then she was not sleeping well because, as we know, alcohol deprived her of her best sleep. And then she would wake up tired and exhausted and dehydrated and, not in the mood to exercise, have a long day, and then she'd come back at the end of the day again and have another glass of wine because she was tired all day and needed to relax. So she decided to stop drinking Monday through Friday, and she was able to lose 20 pounds and keep it off and write the first draft of her novel. This was because she would wake up refreshed. She had energy to write in the mornings, which made her relax through her day. And then the evenings, she had the energy to get on her treadmill. She also saved all those calories that she was drinking in the wine, and she was able to be more careful about what she wanted to eat. So you may relate to this client in that maybe you like to have ice cream after dinner or binge watch Netflix, or somehow your night just disappears. So just think about, what would you like for your evenings and what habits are getting in the way of your life and what you want it to be. Okay, now it is your turn to choose your 2 habits. Can we have the list? Yeah. So I'm just going to give you a minute, and here's the list that we talked about. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and just take a moment and choose 1 or 2 of these.
Excuse me, Rebecca, I do have a question.
Sure.
So change your mindset about stress, which the image you showed was pretty interesting, that just not believing stress is harmful. But that seems like there's some steps to get there. The other ones, take a walk, rest your eyes, those are actions. Changing your mindset, what specifically does that mean? Because that's one I would choose.
Yeah, okay, great. So that is noticing first when you're stressed, like the way you're feeling. And it really is just talking to yourself to say, I'm stressed right now, but this is my body's natural response, and it's okay. It's going to help me perform better. And it sounds odd, but when you accept it, it does reduce your stress. So it really is that simple. It may be that if you're your day like you're having to tell yourself that all the time, that there might be some other things that you need to do, like maybe meditating or doing that breathing will help you additionally to calm down. But it is odd that just changing your mindset is better for your body, because when we don't, what happens is you just get more and more stressed, right? You're like, I'm stressed. Oh, now I'm more stressed. And so that is worse. So we just want to like reverse it. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you guys, any more questions? Okay. So have you guys chosen what you want? And if you have, can you go ahead and put it into the chat, and you can go to the next slide, Raymond. I just would love to see what you guys are choosing. Okay, take a walk, sunlight within an hour of waking, great. Change my mindset about stress and meditate, great. Change mindset and take a walk, more sleep, excellent. Okay. As I mentioned before, our brains like really specific instructions. Next slide, please. So what I'd like to do is give you some ways to help make sure that you're successful. Okay, Beth is going to take walks in the evenings. Oh, I love that, especially in the summer. Close your eyes, change your mindset, and get more sleep. Awesome. She's taking on 4. And Beth, you might just want to take on like 1 at a time and, you know, work yourself into it. But who knows? Maybe it's good to just, you know, charge forward. Next slide, please. So one way to help ensure success is to be really specific about your instructions. So like I said, so your brain's not wasting any energy trying to make a decision. So that's why if you're like, I'm just going to get more sleep, we don't really know what to do with that. But if you're like, I'm going to, you know, set a phone alarm at 9:30 to remind myself to turn off the TV in a half an hour, and then, you know, I'm going to go upstairs, turn off all the lights and go upstairs, then that is more specific for your mind to know what to do. Or if you're like, after I eat my lunch, I'm going to walk up to Emily's house and back every day. So we really want to eliminate any decisions that your brain has to make. Okay, next slide, please. We want to make it really obvious and easy. So even making something 20 seconds easier can make the difference between choosing to do it or skipping it altogether. So if your yoga mat is out there on the floor of your office, you're more likely to use it than if you have to go to your closet door, open it up, and pull your yoga mat out. We all know this, right? And it's, you know, just 20 seconds can make the difference. So whatever you can do to make it easy and obvious for your habit, do that. Like, you know, if you're going to charge your phone in another room or across the room, go ahead and set up a permanent charger there so that you don't have to like search for a cord or move one to that location every night. Next slide, please. The other thing is you can stack your habits on established habits that you already have. Like we all brush our teeth, we, you know, eat our meals. So the things that already are giving your day backbone and structure, you can stack your habits on top of those and they'll be more likely to happen. You know, we don't even think about brushing our teeth. It's just a natural thing that happens. So if you're like, I'm going to meditate after I brush my teeth, then that gives the path a little more ease, and you're more likely to do it. All right, Beth is saying, I already started doing 2 of them. That's why I picked 2 more. Aha, because Beth saw this presentation about 6 months ago. So that's awesome. Great to hear.
Rebecca, since I'm on the
Yeah.
call, I'm not able to type mine in. This is Drina. I am going to, of course, I already tried the breathing techniques, but I'm going to try after each document to close my eyes and, like you said, to rest for maybe like 15 seconds before I go to the next project.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing.
You're
All right.
welcome.
So breathing and closing your eyes. Wonderful. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, it's also great if you have someone to hold you accountable. And one thought is to just make it a tradition at your dinner table to say, how did you take care of yourself today? This will establish in your family that you value self-care. You're letting your kids, if you have kids, know that it's okay for them to do something good for themselves every day to decompress, or whoever you're dining with, let them know that we don't need to feel guilty about this. Often we do, like that is part of why it's hard to stop. You're like, I have so much to do. I need to get it done. I don't have a minute to, take a walk up and down the block. Next slide, please. So just to recap, how you can make your habit stick is to make it really specific, easy, obvious, and you can do a stacked habit. So again, specific is so your brain doesn't have to waste any energy making decisions. Easy and obvious is so that path, it's right there. You don't have to go find anything to do it. Maybe, you just have your tennis shoes on right by the door, or you wear them to work, and that stacked habit uses the backbone of those established habits to make it easier to add additional habits. Okay, and next slide, please. So next, we're going to fill out my specific plan of action with details is, so for each of your 2 habits, I'd like you to write out your plan, how it's going to be specific, how you're going to make it easy and obvious, and how you will hold yourself accountable. And that could be, the accountability can be an accountability partner, someone at work, and can be a friend, whoever you can check in with to make sure that you're both on track. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to do that. And if you have any questions while you're working on that, feel free to ask, and then we'll share our plans.
Excuse me, Rebecca.
Sure.
About how long should meditation be?
10 minutes is great. You can do less than 10. Honestly, I have learned that even 10 seconds of being mindful will strengthen that part of your brain. But if you could commit to 10 minutes a day, that is plenty. And if you can't do 10, do 5. Okay, does anyone need more time? All right, next slide, please, Raymond. Just so you know, well, if you would like to send your plan to me, my email's right there, and actually I'll put it in the chat box too. I will give you feedback on, how to tweak your plan, or give you some suggestions. So feel free to send that to me if you like. I also offer a complimentary coaching session to anyone, so feel free to hit me up for that anytime, or share that with a friend. So let's maybe come off the presentation, and we can just talk about what you guys have in mind and maybe troubleshoot some things that you think might get in the way of your habits. Does anyone want to share what they chose and how they're going to go about doing it?
I will. Sleep is obviously something that I struggle with. So there is an actual app on my phone that deals with, it's got several different applications, but one of them is you schedule the time that you want to sleep, how many hours you want, and the phone will alert you that it's time to go to bed. And then once that time arrives, then the phone will automatically silence and won't accept emails that are visible to the phone until you release it. So I charge my phone by on my nightstand, but it is in night mode. So if someone were to try to call, it wouldn't ring. And,
Great.
so I mean, I just need to make that a practice, so.
Yeah, okay, so just turning on that app and setting the hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I'll ask you, Raymond, when would you like to set that app up?
Well, I have it set at 10 and getting
Okay.
up at 6. So matter of fact, my kids saw it one time, and I think my son was visiting, and it was during a week, because I only have it Monday through Friday. I don't have it on weekends, but it popped up and said it's time to go to bed. And he started laughing at me. He says, "Oh, old man already, you got to." But you know, getting in bed is one thing. Falling asleep and sleeping well is another. So I have trouble with that too.
Yeah, I hear you. Try that breathing technique to help you go to sleep. I have some other suggestions. One is to just tighten every muscle in your body
Mm-hmm.
for like a count of whatever you can take, 15, 20, and then relax, and do that a few times, and it will kind of wear you out a little bit.
Okay.
Another thing you can do is very slowly spell every part of your body. So start with your head, and you might say hair, H-A-I-R. It's very boring, but it gives your brain something to do. And I guarantee, like, you probably will never get past your shoulders. So it's because our brains like to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
And when we, lay down to go to sleep, they're like, oh, let's just solve all those problems we have that we're facing tomorrow. So giving your brain something else to do to just be mindful and distract it can be helpful.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems, I mean, honestly, my wife will verify this. Going to sleep when I first lay down, is not a problem. It's staying asleep. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and then the mind starts to think about something, and then I literally have to just tell myself, just shut it off, because you keep thinking about it, and the more you think about it, the more awake you are. And
Yeah.
that's one of the bigger problems I have with getting the full 8 hours.
Yeah. I'm sure we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think what you're doing is great, Raymond. Like, to just tell yourself, now is the time for sleep. Tomorrow is the time for problem solving. And you may have to tell yourself that, 10 times, but you just keep at it, and, just keep telling yourself, now's not the time for problem solving. And yeah, sleep can be really elusive and frustrating. I have other suggestions if you guys want to hear it. I sometimes listen to a meditation that helps to calm me down. Sometimes they say you're supposed to get out of bed and not stay awake in your bed. So just keep trying new things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
When I've had that happen to me, I've put those things down on a to-do list for the next day. I don't know if that's a good advice or not, but it's something that's helps get it out of my mind. Otherwise, I'll ruminate with it over and over.
Yeah, great. So just get it on a piece of paper and out of your head. Great. And even if you can do that at the end of your day before you close down your office, so then you know that you've taken care of it and it doesn't have to interrupt you later. Great suggestion, Brian. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share what they have chosen to do? Or is someone thinking like, I know what's going to get in the way of this. This is what I'd like, but it's, yeah, Beth?
I can share. Mine was the two I put that I've been trying to work on already was the sleeping and then the walking. And so I put like a walk at least 3 times a week in the evening, because there's not every evening that I could possibly get out and walk, because sometimes we have events and it's not really possible. So I just put 3 times a week, and then I've been trying. It's been tough, but 9 o'clock at night I try to just like start getting ready for bed. So whether it means like I'm, taking a shower or getting in the bath or whatever that is at 9. I had a friend tell me that she did that no matter what she did or what she had, she would just drop it. She had to at 9 o'clock and just start getting ready for bed. I wish I could tell you that was actually getting me into bed at 10 p.m. or 10:30. It's getting me in bed still between probably about 10:30, maybe 10:30 and 11. But it's still better like than it was. Like I'm still getting to bed earlier than I was before. So I'm just gonna keep working at it. I mean, I just started this, I think it was last week. So it's challenging. Like I just have like the other night I tried to work past like 9 and I was like, oh, okay, I have to stop. So.
Good for you.
Yeah. So last night I would have to say it was probably out of the last couple of weeks was the worst night, because I visited family. So I got home. I didn't get home till like almost 10 or 9:45. So that was probably like my latest night. But I figured it's okay to have those every now and then, but it can't be an all the time thing. So.
Great. So really making a ritual out of 9 p.m. is when you put things down and just start to relax.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I need to try that.
Yeah.
Also, like someone mentioned the shower. I like taking a shower before I go to bed, and I'll kind of dim the lights in the bathroom so that way it's getting me ready for bed, and that seems to help me relax so I can try to fall asleep faster.
Great. Yeah.
I think what's challenging about that is also too, you want to have downtime, like time to do something that you enjoy doing. So if you're not getting that and you're prepping for bed, you kind of still want to have that. I think that's my struggle, is that I still want to have in some kind of way a little bit of downtime before I go to bed. I don't just want to just go to bed. Like I want to do something I enjoy. And so I think that that's the struggle for me, is that I still want to have like this bit, like probably like an hour to just enjoy life, which I think everybody wants that. Like, and we should get that. But maybe it can't be an hour. Maybe it has to only maybe it's 30 minutes, So I think I'm trying to find the balance with that as well.
Yeah, very reasonable expectation, Beth, to have an hour of a tear. Yeah, Ebony's like, yes. To do whatever, yeah, you want to do for your day. So putting boundaries on work and other obligations, that can be really hard. And that might require saying no. It might mean leaving some things undone. I often tell people, if you work after hours, to just schedule your emails to go out the next morning at 8 a.m. because at the minimum, you're not going to have people emailing you back in response in the evening. Yeah, and even better is to not work at night, but I know that's not always possible. Yeah, Brian's laughing. Yeah. Do you work in the evenings, Brian?
Yeah, I actually have a problem not working. Sometimes I'll come home, everyone else go to bed, and then I'm back at it at like midnight, 1 in the morning, just working again. So
Wow.
yeah, it's not great.
No. Yeah, I mean, it is hard as a small business owner. You know, you wear all the hats. You want your business to succeed. You want to, give great customer service. So it is a challenge. But I guess the question is, like, how sustainable is it? Like, how is it impacting the rest of your life? What do you really want? That's what I help people figure out. What do you really want, and how can you make that happen? Because there's a lot out there that can get in the way of, having that hour to ourselves or whatever it is else it is that we want for ourselves. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. Yeah, Ebony, what would you like to say?
Well, the other good thing about scheduling your emails to go out at 8 a.m. would be that people are not seeing your timestamp and thinking, oh, she works late. Instead, they'll be like, oh, she must have just got to the office early, which would then just train people to not even send you that email after hours to begin with.
Excellent point. Yes, because we don't want people to think like, oh, I'm available anytime, I'm always on the clock. So yeah, great point, Ebony. Thank you.
I didn't even realize you could schedule your emails. I knew you could schedule posts. I'm going to have to look into that one.
Yeah, there's, I know Boomerang, I think, is one. Does anyone have another suggestion? No, Boomerang, yeah. And it feels great. You get them all written, but then they're ready to go. Anything else? Any questions? Or I'd love to hear what you guys are walking away with today. Did you learn something, or what are you excited for? Maybe I'll just.
Rebecca?
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because you're, yeah, go for it.
Okay, this is Doreen. I wanted to share an acronym that I use for the word focus, and it's follow one course until successful. And I actually had it printed and laminated, and I try to keep that in front of me because I'm pretty much a solopreneur, so I'm trying to multitask, and so that just helps me to try to stay focused instead of jumping around unless something comes up and I have to stop and take care of something else. So I can't remember where I found that, but I like that. So I use that acronym for the word focus.
Wonderful. So that's that single tasking. Would you guys like to do that quick single tasking exercise? Yeah, okay, so grab a pen and paper. It really just takes about 30 seconds to do this. And then Brian, I'm gonna come back to your comment. All right. I'm going to just are you guys ready? So the first thing you're going to do is write numbers from 1 to 20, and then the alphabet from A to however far you get. So I'm just gonna give you like 25 seconds to do that. Okay, go.
I'm sorry, Rebecca, say that one more time. I was grabbing
Okay.
the
Write numbers 1 to 20, and then you're going to write the alphabet A to Z as far as you get. And I'm just going to start calling out, and you write the time when you're done. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Okay, you guys got it? All right. Now what I'd like you to do, so you have that number, you're going to write the number 1, then A, the number 2, then B. So you're going to go back and forth. And I'll just start calling out. Well, you just look up when you're done and I'll tell you what time it is. Okay. All right. Ready? Go. Okay, we're now at 45 seconds. That's how long it took. Well, the longest it took someone before. So how did that feel? Like you can see your mind is multitasking, and it just took a lot longer, right? Than just writing your numbers and then writing the letters. So I think that helps illustrate what our brains, they really prefer single tasking. Brian, what were you gonna say prior to that?
Oh, it was a takeaway. Yeah, it was. It seems like a lot of these are really easy, maybe if people don't know them, but I think the toughest part would be just implementation, because it seems like why not just do so many of them? They're quick, but clearly, there's a need for someone like you because people are not implementing no matter the simplicity. So I think, the accountability is helpful, but yeah, so it's just a matter of getting them done.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is so simple, but we don't do it. So what is getting in the way? So that is what I help people figure out. Where are you stuck? Where are you overwhelmed? What are the strategies that will work to help you have exactly what you want? Well, we're at the end of our time. Does anyone else want to share what they're walking away with? Okay, well, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to share this information with you and to meet all of you. And
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. This was great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
absolutely, my pleasure.
Well, Rebecca, thanks for being part of our roundtable for June, and your information was very insightful. Clearly, as I think Brian articulated, it's common sense, but we've got to put it in practice to make it work. So it was a good exercise. So thank you for that. And,
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And if anybody would like to contact Rebecca, she's got her email here on the screen, so write that down, and I'm sure she'd be glad to talk with you further. So if there are not any other comments or questions, that'll end our roundtable for June. And hope everyone.
Have a great summer, everyone, and feel free to reach out to me anytime. Like I said, you can hit me up for a free session whenever you like. I do help a lot of small business owners, and I help people with overwhelm and wherever they're stuck to get unstuck.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rebecca, and good luck to everybody, and have a good week, okay?
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.